Up is a look at the events Southern Miss Student Media covered throughout the week and the events Southern Miss Student Media is working on for next week. And now here's the host of the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, Kelsey Bolden.
Hey everyone, my name is Kelsey Bolden and I'm your host for the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. I hope everyone is doing well on this Friday afternoon at the top of the 12 o'clock hour. It is 71 degrees in Hattiesburg and it's a little cloudy today, and it rained just a little bit. Not sure if that will continue, but with the way things are looking now, I wouldn't be surprised, and it always rains in Hattiesburg. That's a fact. We're finishing up the 8th week of classes, so like I always say, remember to do fun things to relax and take the stress off of school, especially with midterms if you are a student, and also faculty and staff. It's almost spring break, so make sure that you take this time to relax if you can, to gear up for the rest of the semester. So you can exercise and walk and play games with your loved ones, just anything that makes you feel calm. But on the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up Show, I talked to leaders from SM2, the Southern Miss Student Media Center. In the Media Center, students have the opportunity to get involved with print, radio, social media, and television, and curate stories that are for students and that are by students. Now we're going to take a sponsorship break and hear from Sethany Smith, who is a reporter for the Student Prints. Stay tuned.
Recognition for your business or product, appreciation from a dedicated audience, and establishing yourself as a caring member of the Hattiesburg community are only a few of the benefits of sponsoring programming on WUSM. In addition, our very cost-effective underwriting rates are tax deductible. To learn more about the upsides of underwriting programming on WUSM, call 601-266-4287.
Yo, it's Smooth Oz.
And Charlie from the 4th Street Sports Show.
And we are psyched for our second year covering Southern Miss Athletics, and we have some new faces joining too.
Join us every Monday at 5 p.m. to hear from myself and Smooth Oz, as well as Dima, Jackson, and Nathan.
88.5 is the place to be on Mondays at 5.
Since 1927, the Student Prince has been a direct conduit to USM students. Get your share of the more than $600 million USM brings into South Mississippi by advertising your business or service in the Student Prince. To find out more about how to advertise in the Student Prince, email sm2sales@usm.edu.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We have Sethany Smith here, who is a reporter for the Student Prince, and she is so graciously filling in for Abigail Troth, who is usually here and is also the editor of the Student Prince. But welcome, Sethany.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing good.
So what's been going on? I see that you have a lot of notes. For those who are listening, Sethany is very prepared
Yes.
to guest on the show. So let's use those notes to use. What's going on with the Prince?
So basically, our biggest story for the Prince was the mall shooting that happened last weekend. There was a 16-year-old and 18-year-old that got into an altercation, and they fired shotguns and stuff. Everybody was terrified and all that stuff. So that was our biggest story. It's for this week, Student Prince.
Yeah, I heard of that story. I actually knew someone who was at the mall at the time. They didn't get hurt, but I know it was a really big story, and a lot of people were, I assume, affected. Yeah. So is there anything special that you covered this week?
Actually, last Friday, I went to the International Cuisine and Music Festival by the Nations that partnered with the, the International Office Scholars whatever. But I covered that event. It was really fun. We had a bunch of international students come out. They represented their cultures. They did a lot of singing, dancing. We ate a lot of good food there. It was really good food, and it was really fun. And I wrote a story about that, and yeah.
That was at the BSU, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I heard. How long was the event?
The event started at 5:30, I believe, and it ended like very late. Like, we had so much fun at the event, so we cleaned up after. But yeah.
Oh, you helped clean up.
Yeah,
Oh.
I actually helped put the event together. So
Wow. So what was that like, kind of being so involved with the event and then attending it?
yeah, so the organization that I'm in is called the Nations, and basically it's an organization that like has like it builds a community of international students and American students. So when I was helping the event, I helped cook for the event. I actually cooked for a girl that's from Africa, I believe. We cooked some chicken. It was really good. Like it was fun. Cut up some bell peppers, set up the event, like that good stuff.
Yeah. So I know you've been on the show before. Actually, really recently. It's been like a couple of weeks ago, I think, or a little longer than that. And I know you're obviously a reporter. So how do you go about choosing stories? I think we kind of talked about that a couple of weeks ago, but I just wanted to check in and see if your process is the same.
When it comes to like finding out stories, I just basically just find issues that's going on in my community in Hattiesburg since I grew up here. Like I try to find many issues in Hattiesburg and see how can I cover those issues. Like I just want to cover stories in the Hattiesburg community since I live here and I, do my day-to-day things in Hattiesburg. So I try to find issues that's like in the Hattiesburg community or issues that USM students are dealing with. Since my beat is academics, but I kind of step away from academics. So I'm kind of that journalist that like to cover issues and stuff. So, yeah.
And I feel like journalists have to just be, so open and knowledgeable about everything that's going on, even though, like you said, they have specific beats. For example, yours is academics. Right. So I know next week is spring break, so there may not be a lot happening with you writing or kind of covering a lot of stories, but can you just give details on what you are working on now?
So I know the Student Prince recently, we just released an article on Donzale Abernathy. She was a speaker for the Armstrong Branch Distinguished Lecture Series. And that's that, and we're doing an Eddie Holloway article. And we're doing an enrollment article pretty soon for the Student Prince. So, yeah.
So that's in the works for you, like you're still working on that?
Well, it's not for the works for me, but it's for the works of the Student Prince.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that's really exciting. Thank you so much for coming on today. I think we had a great conversation.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. So now we're going to hear Lauren Jones, her report on the recent RHA Puppies and Painting event. We love puppies here. Let's hear it.
The Residence Hall Association's first event of the semester was one to remember. Students from all across campus filled the RHA Center to paint, see puppies, and learn more about mental health awareness. The event included speaker Shannon Reynolds from Student Counseling Services. She promoted offerings for SCS and interacted with those present. During her presentation, therapy dog Major Payne, also known as Moo Moo, entertained those present.
And so we were so happy to be invited tonight to come to share what we do, love on these students. That's what we're all about, is loving everyone and giving love.
During the event, students could bring their creativity to life by painting whatever they wanted on a small canvas, like sophomore Erin Sorolla, who deeply engaged with the RHA event. This event was a great opportunity for the experienced painter to have time for her hobby.
So I really enjoyed coming here. It's just the socialization, the art. It was just a really fun time because I got to meet so many new people and talk about what we were painting and how we were doing it.
The event hosted by the Residence Hall Association was overflowing with students like Sorolla, and organizers anticipate more engagement like this in the future.
Getting invited to help with this organization was wonderful, and we really look forward to coming back a bunch more.
The RHA's next event is a trivia night on March 22nd in the courtyard across from the library. Lauren Jones, SM2 News.
Thanks, Lauren. Now we're going to turn to Garrett Grove, who is the executive producer of SMTV. Hey, Garrett, how's it going?
I am doing well, Kelsey. Thank you so much for asking. How about you?
I'm doing well as well. It's so different, like seeing you on this side to my left rather than my right. We're gonna have to change it up.
Right. It's something that you kind of have to do sometimes,
Yeah.
and especially in this kind of period of halfway through the semester. This might sound cheesy, but in a lot of different respects, we're trying to change things up in terms of what we're trying to apply within Southern Miss Student Media, particularly within SMTV. Trying to be more focused, trying to be more organized, and trying to be more deliberate in our coverage of stories, internal organization, and ultimately just what you see with our newscast, which our next one is going to be when we come back after spring break.
Yeah, I know you all kind of take a minute to develop these newscasts, or shows rather. Are you excited for this next show coming up?
You know, I definitely am, because this will be the 4th episode that we have for SMTV this semester. It's definitely going to be one that we have a lot of content for. We're just kind of doing rundowns now and kind of just with the allocation of content. Again, a lot of it mirrors what we see in the paper from this past week. We are very confident and we're very ecstatic about what we actually see going into our show for the 22nd.
So I know that you say that a lot of what's covered on each episode reflects what is covered with the prints, but which stories can we expect to see for this 4th episode that's coming up?
You know, I think that's a great question. I think a good example of that would probably be, for one, what we see with the Aramark story. That's going to be something that you can expect to see, because ultimately, for those who don't know, there was a chef kind of within USM's, I guess, catering services, Aramark. He went to a competition recently at Auburn University, which was basically a compilation of a whole bunch of other chefs from other schools and really other entities that have Aramark for their caterer, and he actually won that competition. He's going to go on to a national competition later this year, but ultimately that was something that we thought was really interesting, what we wanted to really cover as an organization. And another example of stuff you would probably see as well, kind of coming up in our show, would probably be the Out of Darkness walk, which has been going on for the last few years, and ultimately is a walk that tries its best to showcase and really just bear the importance of suicide prevention and tell the stories of those who have sadly lost their lives to suicide.
I think those are two very important stories in two very different ways. Regarding the first story with the Aramark, the chef that won the competition, I just want to kind of highlight convergence, which is media convergence, which is something that I know you talk a lot about. I actually saw that story on our Instagram page, sm2.usm, and in the description, I saw that whoever was creating the post made a note for people to check out the story on sm2media.com, and I think that's a really important way to get attraction for like the newspaper and television. How do you feel about that?
You know, I feel really great about that. I have a lot of respect and a lot of appreciation for what Jada Austin is doing, as well as her team, just for social media. And that kind of goes into effect showcasing what we're trying to do to showcase our stories and make sure that people kind of touch all of the bases, not just on our social media, but also on our website, because it's kind of a sort of hub for everything SM2 related, whether it be related to newspaper, television, radio, all the works.
I agree, and yes, a big shout out to Jada. I just didn't know who was creating that specific post, but yes, everyone who is in the Stratcom department is doing amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But before we kind of end this segment, I just wanted to kind of understand what is the process that SMTV reporters kind of take in working over breaks, given that next week is spring break. Will there be a lot of development going on next week?
Well, I would say, for an honest answer, yes, but a healthy helping of no. Because at the end of the day, we are going to be making sure that what we have to come up for our upcoming show on the 22nd is going to be done. But at the same time, people are going to be taking a break. I will be taking a break. And that's what we ultimately want. Our reporters work very hard to cover these stories and to basically go out in the community on and off campus to really just tell USM what is happening. So yes, people will be working on their stories. They just won't be working on it the entire break, because mental health is something that we value as a organization, and taking breaks is important, because if you're always on reporter mode 24/7, it eventually will get tired, and that will ultimately lead to burnout. So people will still be doing their jobs, but they'll also be taking a little bit of a break.
And that is completely understandable. Well, thank you so much, Garrett, for, as always, coming on and giving us the scoop, I guess, on SMTV.
My pleasure.
So now we're going to hear from Sethany, but this time we're going to hear her report on ChatGPT at USM before we turn to some sponsorship messages. You're listening to the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up. Stay tuned.
Administration and faculty across the university are concerned about the academic integrity among students and the use of the new AI, ChatGPT. ChatGPT is an artificial intelligence tool that helps students complete and answer writing assignments with no effort. ChatGPT, released in November 22, is now gaining a lot of attention from faculty and staff members here on campus. However, the University of Southern Mississippi's Office of the Provost is in the process of handling the use of students using ChatGPT.
Right now, we haven't considered it. I think individual faculty are concerned that students might use it in their coursework, but of course we have an academic integrity policy that says they shouldn't do that, and we have a student success office that monitors that. So I think right now it's being handled through the Associate Provost Office, and it's not really on the agenda for the Faculty Senate at the moment.
ChatGPT is also a tool that pulls information written by others and forming a generic response to the question given.
I think the major concern by many people is that ChatGPT will be abused. It will be utilized on college campuses to submit assignments, and I think that concern is very legitimate. I also think that if you have played with ChatGPT, you can very quickly identify its shortcomings. It does not understand truth. It works based on word probability. So it knows that there's a high probability that the word domestic follows gross and the word product to follows domestic. So it uses probability to construct writing or creatively.
If you would like to try ChatGPT, please use with caution as this goes against academic integrity policies. For more on this story, please visit sm2media.com. I'm Sethany Smith reporting for SM2 Media.
Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277. And the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house. I also know that I will be one of the first to respond if my community ever needs me.
Sponsored by the Mississippi Army National Guard, aired by the Mississippi Association of Broadcasters and this station.
What's going on, Southern Miss Radio? I'm Austin, aka Smooth Oz, with 4th Street Sports Show. Me and the crew are back on Mondays at 5 p.m. Yes, Mondays at 5 p.m. Tune in to 88.5 for all things Golden Eagles athletics and a fun-filled experience with recaps and interviews from coaches, players, and administrators. Mondays at 5. Don't forget.
Southern Miss Student Media is how USM communication students put their education into action. The student prints, Southern Miss Radio, SMTV, and SM2 Creative are the media properties operated by Southern Miss Student Media. You can get your share of the more than $600 million USM brings to the area with help from Southern Miss Student Media. To find out more about how to reach the USM audience, email sm2sales@usm.edu.
All right, everyone, we're back with the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, and we have Jackson Howell, who is a co-host of the 4th Street Sports Show, filling in for Charlie Luttrell yet again today.
Thank you for having me back, fellas.
Yeah, we love having you here and hearing your sports knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yeah, knowledge. So, Monday, big weekend. Coming off of a big weekend Monday, I knew that you all did the show remotely. Because you all were in Pascagoula, or most of you all were in Pascagoula.
Yeah, most of us were in Pensacola. 4 out of 5 of us.
Right.
You're good. You're good. Same difference. But,
Starts with a P. Both of them start with a P.
yeah, they had themselves a room down there. Nathan, Austin, Dima, and Charlie. They did the show remotely from there. I stayed back and covered baseball, where they swept Dallas Baptist in a pivotal series. So that's going to continue. But yeah, basketball, unfortunately, they did fall, both men's and women's. The men's, they went one and done. The Lady Eagles, they were able to beat Arkansas State, but then they fell to Texas State. We won't know where they will play in the postseason until Sunday night. That's when the NIT and women's NIT will be announced. So Sunday night, that's when we will know if the postseason hopes are still alive. We know the men are going to make it by proxy of winning the Sun Belt regular season championship. There's an automatic tie-in there. The women, they think they have a good chance, but it's still up in the air whether or not they can make the NIT or not. So we won't know until Sunday night.
That's a lot of anticipation.
Exactly. Like, the NIT is a big deal. Like, you look at big schools like SEC schools, Big Ten schools, some of the top schools, the NIT doesn't really mean much. But for a school like Southern Miss, you know, they hang banners for that. Like, they don't really see postseason basketball like this often, especially when you look at how the men's program was the previous 3, even more than that, years. So it'll definitely be a big opportunity. And right now, Southern Miss fans are hoping that they kind of get a good pool for the NIT. I think there's a small chance they host, but I don't know if that's a realistic opportunity. A lot of the predictions have them going all the way to Providence, Rhode Island. So they're definitely hoping for something a little more local.
So what are your thoughts about how this will turn out?
I mean, we're going to be waited with bated breath, so to speak. I know there was one prediction that had them going to UAB, it's Alabama Birmingham, to play a game, and I know we would like that. That's, you know, fans can drive there, we can drive there to cover it, so that would be something that I think would be great for everybody. Plus, it's an old rival, so we hope that. If we have to go to Providence, Rhode Island, well, let me be clear, we're not going to go. Southern Miss would go, but you know, that'd be a really good team, a neat opportunity to play a unique team. So regardless, you know, the Lady Eagles making the NIT, the ladies NIT, I'm not sure the acronym there, but that would be a big deal for them. They would be about the 3rd or 4th at-large bid for that from the Sun Belt, which if you look at the Sun Belt in Lady Eagle basketball, in the Sun Belt, all the teams are really neck and neck. Like, the 1 seed all the way to like the 5 or 6 seed, they're 1 game apart. So there's a lot of parity in the conference. It would be a shame for only 1 or 2 teams to make it to the dance.
Right. So I know that the rest of 4th Street, they were away covering the game, but I think I know at least that you all will reconvene Monday, maybe. It's spring break, but...
So... we're still trying to figure out the logistics because, you know, spring break's obviously a big deal. There have been talks of doing maybe something Sunday night after the NIT has been announced and we figure out where Southern Miss is going. We recorded a podcast yesterday. We try to do a rapid fire where we answer fan questions on Thursday, usually release them on Friday. So you have that to look forward to. But yeah, we're still having discussions. We want to have a show, but we just haven't figured out the logistics just yet.
All right. Well, Sunday or Monday, I mean, it's still around. Sunday's still around Monday, so still really timely. And I would argue more timely than ever since we, you know, don't find out the results until Sunday. So.
Exactly.
Well, we look forward to next week and hearing what happens. I think there's a lot of anticipation, especially around your show, because I think you all give really timely coverage of events like these. So, giving you all your flowers, so to speak. But thank you so much, Jackson, for filling in for Charlie today. Loved having you here.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Alrighty, so now we're going to hear Charlie Luttrell, who's not here, but we'll hear him recap USM's basketball teams reaching the Sun Belt tournament. Let's have a listen.
Both the Southern Miss basketball programs went to Pensacola with the hopes of winning the Sun Belt Conference tournament and securing a ticket to the NCAA tournament, but fell short of that goal. The Golden Eagles earned a double bye with the number 1 seed, but faced a tough test against South Alabama in the quarterfinals. The Jaguars beat Southern Miss by 31 points just a couple weeks ago and used a second-half run to win by double digits again in the tournament. The Golden Eagles are disappointed of failing to reach their ultimate goal, but head coach Jay Ladner shared his experience from the 1987 NIT team to remind the players of their accomplishments and what's still ahead of them.
And I'm not going to let tonight, in that one spurt where they went 9 for 9 and we went 0 for 9 to take that away, and I can't be more proud of a group of guys. Disappointed, and I hurt with them. I hurt personally, they hurt, because they've worked so hard to change the direction of our program, and I'm forever indebted to them.
The Lady Eagles got past the quarterfinals round with a sharp shooting performance against Arkansas State, but were outmatched by Texas State Sunday. While they shared the regular season title, their season may be over as they wait for an at-large bid in the WNIT.
This year was definitely a learning year, but we did something that hasn't been done in a very long time. And yes, this game hurts because we're all competitors, but we're still proud of what we could do for our city, so it hurts, but to the top.
Ladner and head coach Joy Lee McNellis emphasized the competition level in their first year in the Sun Belt, which they believe should become a multi-bid league in the future.
In the past, the Sun Belt has only gotten one team in the NIT, and I think that's not the case this year. It should not happen.
But for now, the Golden Eagles will wait to hear where and when they will play in the NIT.
And our guys are hurt, crushed, to be honest with you right now, because our goal was to get to the NCAA tournament. But, we do have some basketball left in front of us, and they'll respond the right way.
The selection for the NIT tournaments will take place next week. This has been Charlie Luttrell for the 4th Street Sports Show.
That's it for today's show, everyone. I want to give a big shout out to our guest, Sethany Smith, who covered for Abigail Trouth with the Student Prince, Garrett Grove, who as always gives us the recap on SMTV, and Jackson Howell, who gave us the 411 on 4th Street and all things sports. But also to our audio engineer, Matthew Lee, and our video producer, Devontae Anthony, for always helping out. And I want to give a special shout out to the manager of our station, Dr. Wilbur Martin, who always keeps us on track every single week. Remember that you can check out the Student Prints on sm2media.com and get copies around campus. You can also check out episodes of SMTV on YouTube and 4th Street Sports Show at 5 on Mondays, sometimes Sundays in special cases, on 88.5. Also, check out our Instagram at sm2.usm. I'm Kelsey Bolden, and this was the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, and a production, which is a production of the Southern Miss Student Media Center. Stay safe and have a great weekend.
This has been the Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up, a look at the events Southern Miss Student Media has covered throughout the week and the events Southern Miss Student Media is working on for next week. The Southern Miss Student Media Weekly Wrap-Up airs Fridays at noon.